Welcome to Straight Talk and Retirement, your no-hype source for financial advice in making informed choices about your retirement planning. Get on the phone to talk today at 314-931-5877 or text your question to 84126.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and JBL Financial Services, Inc. are separate entities from LPL Financial.
Now, here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Erin Lapidus.
Hello, St. Louis, and welcome to Straight Talk on Retirement, your live and local St. Louis's favorite financial call-in show. I'm Erin Lapidus, president of JBL Financial Services, financial planner and wealth manager, and I'm joined this week and every single week by my dad, Jeff Lapidus, wealth manager and retirement coach, and my husband, Robert Markham, our life insurance and fixed annuity sales specialist.
Good morning.
Good morning, babe.
Good morning. We help our clients make smart choices about their money. The way we do that is by designing a game plan. A written step-by-step strategy, a real game plan with several goals in mind.
First is to preserve, protect, and prudently grow the assets our clients have taken their entire lifetimes to accumulate.
Second is to provide an income stream they can rely on so they can do all the things they want in retirement.
And third is cost-effectively addressing their health care needs, like helping individuals enroll in Medicare and choosing the right plan to couple with their Medicare coverage.
And then when they're done enjoying their assets during their lifetime, we show them how to pass them on to the people they love, whether it's their spouses or children, grandchildren, churches, or charities, whoever it might be, without Uncle Sam or the tax courts taking a big bite out of their money. And as their wealth managers, Erin, Rob, and I watch their money every single day to make sure they're staying on track. And that's why they call us the retirement coaches. Gang again, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What's the weather like down there right now?
It's a balmy 72 degrees right now, so
Yeah.
it should be a fun day. Should be a fun day in Florida.
Very nice.
That is...
I'm thinking about you, but I'm not thinking that much about you. What can I tell you?
It's a brisk 28 here.
and dropping rapidly.
Well, I'm glad that it'll be nice temperature so you can stay awake for the show, which is just great. And I was going to say that, our goal every week is to try to provide you with some information as well as answer your questions because our phone lines are open, 314-931-5877 or 84126 from text line. And as a reminder, all of our clients are just like you. They're our listeners. They're 55 and older. They would like to retire or they're already retired. And as Erin mentioned, our goal is to create a game plan for them so they can have a fun and financially successful retirement. But we do want to let everybody know that there are lots of ways that you can keep in touch with us during the week.
That's right. You can log on to our website, jblfinancial.com. You can click on the Contact Us button and request a coaching session, financial, Medicare, or both. Also gives you the opportunity to ask us any questions you might have throughout the week. We do try to get back to you as quickly as possible. Usually that's well within 24 hours. But if you'd like to stay in contact with us with additional information, Rob puts out a monthly newsletter. We call it the Coach's Corner, and we keep that not only archived on the website for you, but if you want to sign up because you'd like it delivered to your inbox the first of every month, just click on the pop-up box that appears that says sign up for our monthly newsletter. So, Rob, tell us a little bit about what's in our December newsletter.
We got some great articles in the December 2025 newsletter. We hope you enjoy. The first one being Banking and Payments Vary by Generation. A study of financial preferences by generations found interesting differences across generations. Younger people are less trusting of banks. That's a big shocker. And are more likely to use mobile apps and payment apps instead. But older people are also adopting various forms of electronic banking, and they've got some interesting graphs down here, and one of them last week we highlighted trust banks to treat me fairly. This one is use mobile device to transfer money to another person. 85% of people 18 to 34 take advantage of such payment apps, whereas only 41% of people 55 and older. It's more than 2 to 1. It's amazing when you get down to it. I mean, I'm all thumbs when it comes to these payment apps because, I don't utilize them, but I know you do.
Well, I mean, they are great in some capacities because, for example, you go out to dinner and maybe you've gone out to dinner with several families and the restaurant that you're at only splits the check in a certain number of ways. Well, you can just use one of those online services like a Venmo to send money to people immediately as opposed to writing checks or waiting for cash, which is great. Or, they're also excellent for making donations or if you're paying service workers in many cases. For example, I know that the excellent service that comes and does the cleaning for our house, we can pay through Venmo, which is great. You don't have to write checks, and it's nice.
We sent my brother some birthday money using one of those apps.
That's right. That
was, I didn't even realize he's way ahead of me in these things, and he's like 10 years older, which is amazing.
So the graph isn't always accurate.
No, it isn't. But it just it's like a yard marker along the highway, so to speak. And our next article: online shopping in the tariff era. The de minimis exemption was a long-standing trade policy that allowed U.S. shoppers to buy goods $800 or less directly from online sellers based outside the U.S. without having them pass through customs or incur duties. The $800 exemption threshold was meant to simplify trade, but critics argue that it's allowed for counterfeit goods and illegal items to enter our country with less scrutiny. The $800 de minimis exemption is going away. April 2nd was the first shot at China to end the de minimis exemption, with those exemptions being ended across the board. So what does this mean for you? You want to look before you click. What seems like an unbelievable deal from a foreign e-commerce site could trigger duties you were not expecting. Also, you want to understand the difference between where the product is made and where it is shipped from. Big difference. So if you have an item that is being shipped out of, say, Singapore, and you think, oh, well, the tariff rate is only 10%. If it was made in China and then moved to Singapore and then shipped to you, that's no help in this regard. You will get hit with a duty. So you want to be extra careful when using foreign sites.
And I have seen that many sites that, not necessarily foreign sites, but many sites that we use in the U.S. now reflect tariff included in the price. So they already let you know that maybe that's why you're seeing an escalated price, but that it will be no more than, I guess, the normal sales tax. So.
No, if when you're using American sites, it's already baked into the cake. But if you think you're getting an unbelievable deal from like a South Korean outfit or so on and so forth, like it's not going to be the unbelievable deal you think. You're going to get hit with a bill that you perhaps weren't expecting. So just rules of the road as we navigate the tariff era. And our next article, strategies for smarter giving. Last week we discussed donating appreciated assets. Another strategy for smarter giving is QCDs, or qualified charitable distributions. Taxpayers 70 and a half and older are eligible to make charitable distributions from their retirement accounts to their charity of choice. The amount you donate is excluded from your taxable income. This amount counts towards your required minimum distributions. QCDs can be a useful tool for retirees who do not itemize deductions but still want the tax benefits of charitable giving. And as we like to say, if you're already being charitable, how about we do it in a smarter, more efficient way? So
with the deductions and the standard deduction being so large, many people are no longer able to itemize. But if you're over 70 and a half and not quite to your required minimum distribution age yet, because for everyone newly reaching qualified distribution or required minimum distributions, rather, that's 73. So if you're 70 and a half and you're already donating to charity, you might consider taking directly from your IA to donate to church or charity, because that way you are able to extract money from a retirement account without paying taxes, because you're sending it directly to a qualified charity, and you don't have to worry about itemizing. You can continue to use the standard deduction, because this is a top-line deduction. It comes off of your income, as opposed to coming at the end, seeing what your income is, and then using the deductions afterwards. This way you actually get to capture the benefit of making those capture the tax benefit of making charitable distributions.
Absolutely. And our last article, holiday tipping etiquette. When I saw this article, because I think of all the articles that I've constructed for the newsletter, the last tipping one really
Oh, that's right. That one was that was just tipping in general, right? What the changes have been over time. It
incited a riot. I mean, they were running rampant in my email. Let me tell you, and they expect X, Y, and Z, and I gave them X, and they gave me a look like that wasn't enough. Oh my God! I had no idea. So when I saw this tipping article, I thought it was a nice way to round out the
year.
Absolutely. And as the year comes to a close, you may be looking for ways to thank the people around you who make your life easier. Tipping during the holiday season is your chance to show your appreciation. Dog walkers, house sitters, hairdressers, nail technicians, mail carriers, newspaper deliverers. Anyone.
There's a pretty significant list of people that help us in our daily lives that kind of go unnoticed sometimes.
One thing I want that the article leaves you with that is important to note is that not all gifts are allowed. Depending on,
you can't give your postman cash, I don't think.
Can't give him cash, can't even give him a gift card.
We always give cookies to our postman. I always give cookies to our postal delivery man. He's great. Name's Henry.
Some employers do not allow the gift of alcohol. So we don't want to get anyone in trouble this holiday season.
Oh, so employers don't allow the gift of alcohol?
Right.
Interesting.
They will not allow their employees to receive
alcohol.
Okay. Alcohol as a gift. So just want to keep that in mind. I think it's terrible that the mail carriers can't get cash. I mean, anyway, if someone wants to give you cash, why shouldn't you be able to take,
I don't know the answer to that. I'm sure there's some sort of conflict. Just like we're not allowed to accept cash gifts.
We're not?
No, we're not. But we do enjoy food or kind words. We get excellent holiday cards every year, which is really nice. Get to see all of our clients' beautiful families when they send the family holiday cards. I love to see those. So that's a nice gift.
We also do get food on occasion as well, which is nice.
Oh, we get lots of food, not just nice gifts. We have a nice client that brought us a Costco variety pack of cookies, which was cool. Then we get handmade, homemade items sometimes as well. So it's really nice.
There was a package when we went to the office of chocolates. I don't know who sent them, but I'm sure the girls will enjoy them.
Yes, they will.
And that is your 2025 newsletter in a nutshell. And just so you know, I keep the last 12 months to 18 months of archived newsletters on the website, so there's plenty of content for you to dive in and enjoy.
That's right. So just log on to the website, jblfinancial.com, click on that pop-up box to sign up for the newsletter. If you are looking for a specific article, you can always email Rob at robert@jblfinancial.com, and he'll be able to help you find that newsletter, or maybe he'll put that article or that topic in the next newsletter. So
that sounds wonderful. And, our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you this morning. We like to say we have a lot of things on our mind, but what's more important is what's on yours. Give us a call today, 314-931-5877 or 84126 on the usually hot and heavy KTRS text line.
And speaking of that text line, we've got our first text in the queue, and our texter writes, "Hey, question for you. Recently, my financial advisor left the company, and he's gone. I'm not sure where he's gone to, but my question is, to financial advisors, do they have to sign some kind of agreement that says they won't take customers with them when they go to a new job?
So it depends upon what type of financial advisor you are working with. And there are restrictions on what certain advisors can communicate to current and then past clients once they are planning to and then do leave a position. So there are some rules barring advisors once they've left a certain role that they cannot communicate with their former clients any longer, let them know where they've gone, and try to solicit them to the new firm.
Yeah, and I would say is that if your advisor has currently left this firm, most likely your accounts have been assigned to a new advisor, or they become internally, we call those house accounts. And if nothing else, this certainly gives you an opportunity to test out the waters.
That's right. See if you can stay with the advisor you've been assigned to. If it's become what my dad called a house account, that means that there isn't an individual person that is monitoring your account any longer. So if that is the case, you probably do want to take some time, maybe after the beginning of the year, to go on what we like to call the advisor tour, to check out some new advisors, test the waters a bit to see if there's someone else you'd like to work with, especially if you are someone that would uses the value of a financial advisor and wants to continue to do so. You don't want your accounts to sit not dormant, because they'll remain invested the way they were before they became house accounts, but no one's actively managing them any longer for you in that particular case. Or you meet with the person that they were assigned to, and just because you were auto-assigned to someone doesn't necessarily mean that you need to stay. But go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I don't think this practice is limited to financial advisors. My dental hygienist moved to a different office, and I was at the front desk booking my next appointment, and I was like, I want to make sure I get Who's What's It again. And she's like, no, she's leaving dentistry. And then come to find out, no, actually, she just went to a different office. But
that's funny. Leaving dentistry altogether.
I was taken aback when I heard that. I was like, really? Wow, that's okay. What do you say to that?
Well, Robert, we knew you were down in the mouth when it came to that situation, so it's all good.
Man, it's like you had that locked and loaded, Dad.
That was, I tend to try to grab that low-hanging fruit if I can.
But that's a great question, because advisors do move around. I won't say frequently, but they do take new opportunities. It depends upon how your advisor affiliates with the organization that they're working with. Because we are independent, we do have the opportunity to communicate to our clients if we were to make changes, but other advisors don't have that freedom.
Yeah, and what we're also talking about is the curbing the flow of personally identifiable information. Not only to protect you, but also to protect the firm that you're currently with. I also thought was interesting is that unless we have other...
Not at the moment.
That's great. Is that really this was a very good text to sort of lead us into our first discussion today. Retirement is definitely, and it really can be different for everyone. And this is because we're all a little bit different in terms of our age, our health situation, marital status, how much assets are you actually bringing to the table, and also what source of income that you have or income streams during retirement. But there is one area where retirement is the same for everyone, and that is expectations. And interesting, because our last texter was talking about, their advisor has left. They have they obviously had expectations with their advisor. What I would suggest for most of our clients as they're getting ready to retire is, what are your expectations? How are you going to measure success in your retirement? I'd also suggest, what are you doing today to try to put yourself in a position where you can actually meet those expectations?
And so we're talking about the expectations of your own personal retirement, correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And really, we're getting down to is, there are a lot of questions you have to ask yourself. First of all, are these goals achievable? Are they achievable? And number two, are they really just lofty goals? So putting yourself in a position to meet your own expectations is important, and actually measuring them. I mean, what's that going to be? Are we talking about where am I going to live? Who am I going to be spending time with? Will I be able to continue to do the things that I want to do, that I'm currently doing? Then also, what are some other things that we're adding to our menu, to our life, now that we have the time and we're not fully actively at work?
I think this is a topic that we used to discuss a lot more frequently, which is we often focus on the financial aspects of not only clients meeting their expectations, but helping clients realize those expectations or what those goals are on the financial side. But there is an emotional component to retirement that I think we haven't talked about in a while. And what are those expectations? Just like you said, Dad, where am I going to be? Who am I going to be with? What am I going to be doing? For how long? I just yesterday had a really nice conversation with some relatively new clients that I had met with back in August. And when we sat down together, the husband, no interest in retiring, loves his job, wanted to keep going. His wife, however, she was ready to retire. Her job's a little stressful. She works in banking, and unfortunately, there's been a lot of turnover where she works, and a lot more has fallen on her shoulders. And she said, I'm at the end of my career, not the beginning. I was hoping to be divesting, and it seems like that's not what's going on. So I think I'm ready to fully divest. And I hadn't seen them for a while, so I figured things were kind of going on as normal. But then when they came in just yesterday everything had changed. I mean, wife ready to retire already set the retirement date, so that hadn't really changed. But her husband, he said, I think it's time, not for me to retire fully, but I need to start pulling back because I have realized over the last several months that the most valuable thing that we have is our time. And I don't have little of it left because he's a young guy, 55 years old, but I certainly don't have as much as I used to, and I want to be able to dedicate that time to, spending it with my wife and the family. And so my priorities have now changed. And I thought that was, things happen during life, and it could be in short order that make you reevaluate, but I really think it's important to consider not just as you're approaching retirement, the emotional impact of that, but what you're going to do when you are retired, because, of course, the money is there to help you achieve those things, but we need to know what you're looking to achieve in order to put the dollars behind it.
That's a great way of looking at it, as time versus money, because time, in my view, is much more valuable because it can't be replaced. Whereas money, I mean, if I lose $20, I can replace $20. I can't replace 20 years.
Well, that's what Tony Robbins says. Always never give away the most valuable thing you have for free.
Yeah, it is interesting, this situation, because I'm sure that during that time period between the two times that you saw the client, he and his spouse were having conversations, and they were sort of maybe building their own expectations about retirement. Truthfully, one person isn't working. The other one is talking about either they are working or they're talking about cutting back. And so what about their together time?
Right.
You had all this time at work, and what happened was, you had your routines and you were focused, but did she want to travel's a big thing.
Yes.
With clients we see, especially at the beginning of their retirement. I want to go see the things that I haven't seen, I put off seeing, places I want to go, and now I have the time, or now, like in this case, maybe I'm pressuring my spouse to make the time.
Right.
And so that really it's unusual. And so coming to creating that equilibrium, or really creating those expectations of what they are, we usually spend a fair amount of time with folks talking about what are you going to be doing when
What's
you're
it going to
not,
look like?
What's the transition going to be like?
Yep.
Exactly. And for some folks, especially men more than women, what I've found is that they don't take, I've recommended to many folks, think about not necessarily a staycation, but taking more than a week. Because usually, you're not taking more than a week when it comes to vacations and time at work, but you need to take 2 to 3 weeks. And do a simulation as if pretend like you're actually retired.
Right, because the first week is always the decompression, like time off, relax a little bit. But then week 2, that's when, well, what am I going to do today?
Well, the honeydew, the list is usually not, it's exhaustive. So what happens is eventually the things that you've been putting off, et cetera, you don't do that anymore. But you're right. Where are you going to be? I mean, are you going to have a routine about going to the gym? Are you going to be taking a class? Or who are you going to be hooking up with when you have all this time?
I had one client say, when I was working, I had 2 cups of coffee in me at my desk by 8 o'clock. Now I can't even figure out what I'm going to do at noon, and I haven't even had my coffee.
Hey, retirement looks different for everyone. Some people are very regimented in their schedule. They want to stick to what they had been doing previously. But other people like the opportunity to say, I spent 30 plus years working and on a regimented schedule. Maybe I don't need such a regimented life any longer. So really I think the word expectations is perfect in this regard, because if you set them for yourself, then you have the ability to meet them, as opposed to just walking into retirement without a clear picture, aside from, okay, I feel like I have enough money to financially make things work. That's great, but
you don't want to be rudderless.
Right, or in a box of boredom. So I think these are important things to consider outside of the financial aspect of retirement. But I was going to say, Dad, before we get into our next piece of this topic, which is what our role tends to be in helping clients set expectations for retirement, we should take our first break of the hour.
So do us a favor, don't touch that dial. There'll be some more straight talk on retirement in hour number 1 after these messages.
This is the Big 550 KTRS St. Louis, Alton, Valley Park, St. Charles, and the world.
Streaming live at KTRS.com.
This is Erin Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email at Erin@jblfinancial.com to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Shop your ultimate gifts, decor, fashion. Celebrating 30 years. Give the ultimate unique gifts from Christopher's and Mark Anthony's Gifts, St. Louis's premier gifting and decor destination, located in downtown Kirkwood, Missouri. Now 2 brands, 1 location. Visit us at 127 East Argonne, Kirkwood, Missouri, 63122, or online at stlgift.com. Happy holidays from our family to yours. Remember, be kind, gift kindly.
Experience the warmth of holiday traditions with Prairie Farms flavored milk, eggnog, and custard. The taste of tradition is here with seasonal flavor sensations just in time for the holidays. Prairie Farms flavored milk, eggnog, and custard recipes start with rich and creamy dairy milk blended with the finest ingredients for an indulgent and seasonal delight. Enjoy them on their own or as part of your favorite cocktail for a festive touch. Then visit prairiefarms.com and enter the Taste of Tradition tab for a chance to win a KitchenAid stand mixer. Enjoy the holidays with locally made, naturally delicious Prairie Farms flavored milk, eggnog, and custard.
This holiday, give the gift that lasts all season long. Cardinals ticket packs are on sale now, starting at 5, 6, and 10 games. All packs include 2026's top games and favorite giveaways. Backed by popular demand, choose from the opening day pack or the bobblehead pack. Check out the Cubs pack, weekend pack, or apparel pack. There's a pack for everyone. Find your perfect gift right now at cardinals.com/tickets.
The holidays come and go, but Cardinals baseball lasts all season long. This year, give the gift of all-inclusive tickets, featuring a full buffet, complimentary bar, and unbeatable views at Busch Stadium. Enjoy great food, good times, and every moment of the action. Choose your experience in the Budweiser 703 Club, UMB Champions Club, Coca-Cola Scoreboard Patio, and more. Make your holidays brighter with all-inclusive tickets On sale now at cardinals.com/tickets.
Let's talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Erin Lapidus.
Well, it's 9:34 here on the Big 550 KTRS, Talk Radio St. Louis, during hour number one of our 2-hour weekly extravaganza. I'm Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach.
I'm Erin Lapidus, the retirement coach.
And I'm Robert Markham, your life insurance and fixed annuity sales specialist.
And we are willing, waiting, and wanting to answer your questions at 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line. Are we a little quiet on the text line this morning?
We are quiet for now, so why don't we continue on with what we were chatting about?
So, during the previous segment, we were talking a little bit about setting expectations, or hopefully having our clients set their own expectations about how they feel like they can have a successful retirement. Our role, our job as our clients' financial advisors, as we like to say at the beginning of every show, is really to create a comprehensive written game plan, a real strategy, a step-by-step game plan with the following goals in mind. We want to preserve, protect, and prudently grow the assets that our clients have taken their entire lifetimes to accumulate. We want to help them transition their health care to a plan at the appropriate time to supplement their Medicare benefits. We also need to create a tax-efficient and effective income strategy so they can live the life that they want and specifically continue the lifestyle that they had during retirement as they had before they retired. Help them deal with financial emergencies and issues that can arise down the road. And then finally, passing their assets on to the people they love, whether it's churches or people or charities, whoever it might be, in an efficient manner. As I was, thinking about things this morning before the show, I came to this realization that, unlike any other profession, our journey is to provide financial advice, not just during our client's lifetime, but truthfully afterwards. This is a choice that we've made as a part of our obligation to them and to their families. And not every advisor is ready to or prepared to or has actually made that calculated decision in their practice to do that. So when it comes to expectations, I think when you're working with a financial advisor, you certainly want to really kind of build, and we've had these conversations many times in the past, which is, what is your desire? What are your expectations in having a relationship with somebody who is working with your money? These two things can work hand in hand together, and so I think it's really a function of trying to vet that out on your own. What do you think, babe?
I think that's a great point, and it's an important one because as you are building towards retirement, when you make that decision to transition and you've decided that you'd like to work with an advisor, what you're really doing is taking your life's work and asking someone to help guide you on the next chapter of your life. But the ultimate goal for many of our clients, I believe, is that not only do they want to be able to live the lifestyle that they've built while they were working, transition effectively into retirement, but then be able to build and maintain wealth for their families down the road. And as time has gone on, I've noticed that the picture of that changes for clients in the immediate. Everyone's always worried about that initial transition. How do I get to retirement? How do we maintain our lifestyle? Then it becomes, well, how do we maintain this for after we're gone? And then I think as time goes on, many people want to be able to share their wealth with their families while they're here. And we're not necessarily just talking about nicer Christmases, but is your goal to create educational funds for children or grandchildren? Or is it to help your children have a nicer house or an easier time paying off the house they have, or helping their kids with parochial schools, things along those lines? And I think it's great that we have the opportunity to assist our clients not only with their initial expectations of retirement, but their ongoing and sometimes changing expectations of what it means to have the wealth they've built and be able to share it with the people that they love. And then the most important thing is when they're not here to when they're not here to manage their wealth in the sense that, their names are still on the accounts, that someone is going to be there to help their families transition those assets in an efficient and relatively speedy manner. And I think that not only builds confidence as time goes on, but I think it builds a lot of security for our clients, or at least a feeling of security.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And really, our profession is evolving. I mean, I would tell you that 45 years ago, when I started my career in the life insurance business, and there were no financial advisors. What happened was that we were planning for what happened after that breadwinner, if they passed away prematurely. What happened with that business? Would it continue on after the death of the owner? And creating the money. But the truth is that after that, I don't want to say our obligation, but our work really kind of ended. The tax laws, the changes that have happened right now, especially with the Secure Act, and, I know our clients they're getting sick of me talking about this, but this change in the tax law was the most important thing that I've seen in my career, without doubt. The increase of the estate tax exemption up to $15 million, very few of us, I'm not including myself in this either, are ever going to see, if I'm single, 15, or if I'm married, $30 million to be able to pass on to other folks. It's just not going to happen. But we're the first generation to actually have and have accumulated wealth because of the change in what's happened in the retirement plan environment. Now the IRS has come along and said, okay, you've accumulated the money. Now we want to get our hands on the tax burden faster. Literally, and that's what the bottom line of this is. And then if you're not planning, or you're not talking to your advisor about planning, or you don't have a game plan about how are these going to pass on to the next generation, you're kidding yourself. Because what will occur is that you can use the normal, as I like to call it, vanilla flow. It goes to children, it goes to et cetera, and they'll take care of my grandchildren. But realistically, the baby boomer generation is in a position to actually put their thumbs on the financial future, maybe 1, 2, 3 generations down. And this is something that wasn't even imagined by our parents or grandparents, unless, of course, they owned a business or they were, a high-level corporate executive, et cetera. They just didn't have the wealth. We do. And, being the millionaire next door is really passé. The question is, are you the $5 millionaire next door or the $10 million millionaire next door?
Or are you the millionaire next door that's taken the time not only to plan for your long-term retirement, but you've planned to transition those assets? So, yes, the government is going to eventually get its tax dollars. It always does. But are we able to minimize the impact of those tax dollars on your portfolio after you're gone? And I think, Dad, you make a great point. The original financial planners were life insurance agents, but they weren't planning for life, unfortunately. They were planning for after someone was gone. Now, as financial advisors, our responsibility is really transition to not only your lives, but what happens for your children, your grandchildren, and maybe even your great-grandchildren's lives. But I think we've got our first caller on the line.
Woo.
So why don't we go to Dan? Good morning, Dan.
Good morning.
Looks like you've got a question about a traditional IRA.
Yes, I want to know the pros and the cons of transferring a traditional IRA into a Roth. I know you've got to pay tax on the traditional, but what is the advantage? Should a person do that, or would you recommend him not?
So I think that this is and I'm going to take the moderate approach. You'll hear my dad take, I think, the less moderate approach, which is I think this is a very individualized decision because if you are going to transition traditional IRA assets, which you were able to contribute into that account pre-tax, so you didn't pay taxes on the money going in. As the money comes out, you have to pay taxes on it unless it's going to charity. So if you decide that you would like to move some of those traditional IRA assets into a Roth account, then what you're going to have to do is pay taxes on it in this moment when you make that transition. So I think that over the next 3 years, the Big Beautiful Bill has given quite a few people the opportunity to maybe make some of those transitions, because many people qualify for 6,000 individual or 12,000 as a couple additional deductions for taxes. So that gives a little bit more room in your tax bracket potentially. So I think that does give a little bit of an opportunity there. But there are things to be careful about, which is in making that transition from traditional IRA to Roth, are you negating any tax deductions that you have available to you? Are you increasing your Medicare premiums because you've bumped into a much higher tax bracket? All of those things need to be considered before making that change. And then also the final thing that Rob likes to bring up frequently, which is an excellent point, is that if you are going to move assets from an IRA to a Roth IRA, if you don't have the money to pay the taxes outside of that transaction, so let's say that you would like to move $30,000 from a traditional IRA into a Roth, and you are in the 15% tax bracket, you're going to be about the 20% tax bracket, 15 federal, 5 state, then that means that you're going to owe at least $6,000 in taxes on that transition. If you don't have the money in a savings account outside of the IRA to pay the government what you owe, only $24,000 is going to end up in your Roth account, which means you will lose the growth on that $6,000, or the potential growth on that $6,000 forever. So I don't think that unfortunately, this is not a one-size-fits-all answer, in my opinion. Dad, did you want to come in with like a sound effect or?
No, absolutely. I wanted to add something.
Sure.
My question to the caller, and again, this isn't, you don't have to answer this immediately, but is why? Why do I want to pay taxes to Uncle Sam? Have to have it, assuming you don't have a Roth IRA currently in existence, for the interest that you earn to be income tax free when it's distributed, the money has to stay there for 5 years. Now, I would tell you that
the thing is, I don't want to have to take too much required minimum registration.
Okay, so let's blow that balloon right now if we can. Okay.
Popping the balloon?
Let's pop it. The required minimum distribution percentage that's required to be pulled out when you become eligible, you become a grown-up, as I like to say, 73 or above, is at 4%. So if I have an IRA worth $500,000, I have to pull $20,000. If I have a $100,000 IRA, I have to pull $4,000. Big deal. I mean, let's be honest. It's a big deal. If you were to try to convert that $100,000 IRA, either one or in multiple, or let's say you wanted to do over a 5-year period, you spread it out. You're paying 20% in taxes. You still, as Erin said, you still have to have the money, hopefully, to pay the taxes so that the whole thing converts. But where are you at? I mean, you basically were a patriotic American, because we have found that 90% of the people we work with currently have an adjusted gross income of less than $90,000 per year. That's the 11% tax bracket. So what that means is that you're saying to yourself, I'm going to pay taxes at 20%, at 25%, but if I was just to take it out as required minimum distributions, I'd only be paying 11. Mm-hmm. So from a tax perspective, it makes absolutely no sense.
Well, also,
Now,
how long is it going to take you to truly convert enough that you're going to be lowering those required minimum distributions substantially? Because the ultimate goal is that even as you're converting, you're still growing what's left inside of that traditional IRA.
Okay. So the only other reason that you would want to do this is not a financial reason. It's called love. Okay. I know I'm going to pay more in taxes than I need to. I'm going to do it unnecessarily. I'm going to self-inflict it on myself. But I want that money to go income tax-free at my death to my heirs. So I'm going to pay the tax for them, pay more than I have to pay, them to pay more than they have to pay, literally, and I'm going to do this. So let's use an example of what we were just talking about before. Let's just assume our caller has children, and if he's fortunate, has grandchildren. Well, at the time of his death, generally his children will be very close to his age at normal retirement age, right? Parents die in their 80s, 90s. Mostly kids are in their 20 to 25 years younger. They'll be in their highest earning income tax brackets at the time that they inherit these IRA assets. They're going to have to pull them out over 10 years. Okay. But if they have grandchildren, woohoo! I'm working on that one, by the way. Not by myself, of course. But if those grandchildren inherit those IRAs, they're going to be most likely in their, if they're alive today, 20s, 30s, broke, lowest income earning years, more of the money's going to get inherited. In my mind, the Secure Act, and of course, I'm the only person in the world that thinks this because, the emperor. What's the story about? The
emperor has no clothes.
Exactly, or the emperor. Everybody's insane, but the emperor. Okay.
Okay.
Is that the Secure Act 2.0 killed Roth conversions? It killed them. There's absolutely no reason to do a Roth conversion because now we know that people are going to have to take this money out over a 10-year period. And now it's creating the incentive for you to add another generation
to your beneficiaries. Or
two, where you really can pass this asset on in a way that you want to enable the people that are really needing the money the most. And at the same time, if you have grandchildren, you don't have to worry about your children making a decision on when they get your money.
That's a great point, Dad. Why don't we take our second break of this hour? When we get back, we've got quite a few text questions to get to, and I'm sure we'll have some more Roth conversion questions because that always kicks things off. So don't touch that dial. We'll be right back after these messages.
When SNAP benefits stop due to the government shutdown, the staff at Gingham's ask, how can we help? Families are struggling to buy groceries, and food pantries desperately need donations. Here's Gingham's idea. Through December 14th, bring a non-perishable food item, and they'll give you 20% off your total bill. As a bonus, everyone that donates will be entered into a raffle for a $250 gift certificate to Gingham's. They've been truly blessed, so Gingham's is pledging $2,000 in cash and gift cards to the Oasis Food Pantry. As a thank you to the community, please help Gingham's help those in need. Donations through December 14th, drawing to be held the same day.
Hi, I'm Matt Beatty, owner of Beatty Roofing, and we are proud to support Light Up Glennon. With over 70 years of experience, we have the best team and fleet in our industry. We provide smart project management, delivering commercial and residential projects on schedule, on budget, and done right. We always strive to exceed client expectations and have relationships with a diverse range of roofing material manufacturers, which allows us to utilize the optimal materials your roof will require. Call 314-892-1331 or visit us online at BeattyRoofing.com. Have a blessed holiday season.
This is Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, that you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email, jeff@jblfinancial.com, to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Navigating to and through retirement doesn't have to be complex. Listen to What Retirement Means to You with Jerry Means. Sunday mornings at 10 on KTRS, the Talk of St.
Hi, Richard West with Overstock Outlet, wishing you and your family a happy holiday season. Visit us at Overstock Outlet. We are the best random store around where you never know what we'll have. We stock shelves daily with name brand products from major box stores. Check us out on Facebook to see our latest inventory. From all of us at Overstock Outlet, we hope you have a blessed Christmas season.
Visit Overstock Outlet in Lake St. Louis at 8621 State Route N or in Warrenton at 604 East Boones Lick Road and have a happy holiday season.
Now, back to Straight Talk on Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are Jeff and Erin Lapidus.
Okay, it's 9:54 on Big 550 KTRS. We've got our last segment of hour number one. And our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you, 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line. And my final comment, I swear to God, I don't care if anybody asks, I'm not going to answer the question, babe.
Okay, we have this, you guys, we have this recorded, so everyone take note.
I meant for this week. I didn't mean forever.
Oh,
okay.
What a caveat.
Okay. If, I'll call it 90. If 90% of the people that are out there are saying you should do a Roth, do you want to run with the bulls? Really? Does it make sense? Does it really make sense to do that?
Run with the bulls, or is that like being a lemming? Or Rob said he's convinced that this idea was planted by the IRS.
It was complete psyop. Like, oh, you're worried about your RMDs when you'll be taxed at roughly 10%? Why not do a Roth conversion where you can pay double? Like, it's who else could put this into the ecosystem? The IRS themselves.
You guys are so dictatorial about this. I like to look at each person individually. If we've got some room in the 12% bracket, why not? Why not?
Well, honey, you know what? If it makes you feel good, then you do it.
I'm just saying we've seen quite a few clients.
I would just tell you that if I was in my 30s at this point, okay, cut my life back 50%, and I had an opportunity to get involved in Roth. Would I do it?
Yes, you are so jealous.
The answer. Well, I am jealous, but the answer is no. I wouldn't do it because what I did learn in business school, and it still is true today, is that tax deductions today, or more taxes saved today, are more valuable than taxes saved in the future.
So because you were able to make pre-tax contributions, that is more valuable than having made potentially after-tax contributions.
Absolutely. And the other thing is that instead of doing Roth, which basically, especially for somebody who's younger, you can't touch the money until you're 59 and a half, or the interest that you pull is taxable. I would take the money home like I did and invest it so that I have control over it. I'll pay capital gains, less than ordinary income taxes, hopefully long-term capital gains, or taxes on dividend interest as it's earned. And that's already tax-free.
Right.
My capital is tax-free, so I have the control, and I'm not putting it into something else where the IRS, again, has more control. And also not only during your life, but also the distribution pattern of your heirs after death.
And not to be a conspiracy theorist, but when clients make the argument, well, taxes are going to have to go up in the future, which, potentially they might. I know the Big Beautiful Bill really did solidify the tax brackets long term unless we go back to Congress to make changes, and we all know how frequently they've recently been able to get together to make changes. Where else are they going to go for easy tax dollars? Maybe Roths aren't going to always be tax-free forever.
I was just thinking that, like, if you're concerned about the tax rate and what the future may hold, like, what's to say that Roths are always tax-free?
Right. There are no sacred cows to the government, unfortunately.
It would be difficult. I think it's a little bit of a reach to try to think that Roth could be taxable in the future.
One day.
Well, that's a little bit of a reach because obviously the incentive's been put in there. But it wouldn't be unreasonable to say where they would say no more Roth. Or they could begin to, again, put more and more restrictions on who is eligible for a Roth. In either case, you're right, babe. You have to look at your own situation. You're making decisions in the moment. But taxes saved today are more valuable than taxes paid in the future. They just
Right.
are.
So it's been an excellent benefit to be able to make those pre-tax contributions over time. Your employer was also able to take the benefit of, not when they made those contributions, getting tax deductions for themselves as well. So it really does help the whole system run. Theoretically, you're able to put more in, so it was able to grow. More was able to grow over time, and now the goal is to determine the most efficient way to pull the money out. So you are paying what you owe, but you don't necessarily have to pay more than what you owe. When we come back after our break between our 2 hours, we're going to hit Medicare. We've got quite a few text questions that we have yet to get to, and we'll continue to discuss. I think we've got a rock star segment on deck for the last portion of the second hour, so don't touch that dial. We'll be back. Straight Talk on Retirement.
Mizzou football.
The rushing touchdown, and Missouri extends the lead.
KTRS AM, FM 106.1, K291CW St. Louis.
From ABC News, I'm Mike Dubusky. New photos from Jeffrey Epstein's estate have been made public by Democrats on the House Oversight Committee. Among those pictured, former President Bill Clinton, former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers, and President Trump. ABC's Olivia Rubin has more.
Among those 92 new photos, one showing Trump surrounded by women, their faces redacted. In another, he's seen sitting on a private plane. Also in the new release, a rare photo of Bill Clinton alongside Epstein and his convicted associate, Ghislaine Maxwell. What appears to be Clinton's signature right in the center.
Democrats say they released those photos in the name of transparency, but the White House says Democrats cherry-picked the pictures with random redactions to try and create a false narrative. There is mounting pressure on Venezuela from the Trump administration. The aircraft carrier, the USS Gerald R. Ford, has been positioned in the region following the U.S. seizure of an oil tanker. Here's ABC News senior White House correspondent Selena Wang.
All eyes right now on President Trump's next move, as he's been repeatedly threatening land attacks on Venezuela, and last night said the strikes would target, quote, horrible people that are bringing in drugs and killing our people. This week, the U.S. seizing an oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela and is now sanctioning 6 more Venezuelan tankers. That is a big deal, going after the country's oil because it's the regime's main source of revenue.
Following days of heavy rains, flash flooding, and mudslides, the Pacific Northwest is seeing some relief weather-wise today. Residents in Washington and Oregon are taking stock of the damage, including Monica Mendez, who lives in Burlington, Washington.
I've been here more than 15 years and never seen anything like it, even when it floods like other flood zones.
More heavy rain is in the forecast starting tomorrow. In Ukraine, officials say Russia fired off another barrage of missile strikes. You're listening to ABC News.
Whoa. More fiber?
What?
Down here, buddy. It's me, your spoon. Constipation with belly pain still coming back?
Yeah.
Talk to your doctor. It could be irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C, but Linzess could help you get ahead of it.
Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
Officials in South Carolina and Georgia say criminal organizations have a new tactic to deliver contraband to those in prison. ABC's Matt Rivers reports.
In Georgia alone, 71 drone incidents last month alone, the most ever. A growing nationwide threat, say experts. And just this week in South Carolina, prison officials say they intercepted cigarettes and marijuana delivered to inmates by drone.
Prison officials are now asking Congress for permission to shoot down drones despite FAA restrictions. Turning 100 years old today is Dick Van Dyke. His career has spanned decades and includes multiple Emmy Awards, a Grammy, a Tony, and a Lifetime Achievement Honor. ABC's Chris Connolly sat down with the star to talk about his life and legacy.
What's hard about being 100 years old?
I miss movement.
I've got one game leg from I don't know what.
He remains full of life amid decades of accolades. There's his barbershop quartet, the Fantastics. Not even that word can sum up what his wife Arlene has meant to him.
She kept me young. She gives me energy. She gives me humor and all kinds of support.
His 100-year-old heart still beating with the joy of a born performer.
And don't forget to tune in to the Powerball drawing tonight. Nobody won this week, and now the jackpot has grown to more than $1 billion. I'm Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
This is the story of the one. As an HVAC technician, he and his digital multimeter are in high demand. So when a noisy office HVAC turns out to be a failing blower motor, he doesn't break a sweat. With Grainger's easy-to-use website and product information, he selects the product he needs to keep everything humming right along. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Erin Lapidus.
Welcome back, everyone, to hour number 2 of Straight Talk on Retirement. I apologize. I'm going to go a little out of order on the text messages because I see one that absolutely must be read.
We have a hot take in the text, and our texter writes.
No, I'm sorry. You like that text, but I like a different one.
Well, I'll let you read the one you like.
Because it starts out, Erin is right.
Well, then.
Erin is right about, and in this particular case, I happen to be right about Roth conversions. Why not convert to the top of your bracket, especially in a depressed market when you will pay less taxes in compared to when markets are at all-time highs? If you have the guts to do the conversion at a market low, I find that to be impressive because you're willing to make a sale of what you would call depressed securities, or maybe you've seen some losses in those securities, which, hey, at that point you're saying I'll move them into the Roth and hopefully those securities will recover. Not only will I make back the taxes that I've lost in the transition, but hopefully see some excess returns. I love that idea. I'm not a Roth conversion proponent because I think I'd be written out of the will, but I do think that when we are given opportunities, especially for many individuals that are in retirement, that are living off of Social Security and distributions from IRA accounts, Dad, you made an excellent point. The majority of our clients are living off of incomes that are less than $90,000 a year. You're in the 12% tax bracket. You've now been given potentially another $12,000 of deductions through the big, beautiful bill. Maybe you convert a little bit, and now you're creating a little Roth for down the road. Not a bad idea. But if you happen to be a person that's already in the 20+% tax bracket, I think that really calls into question. You're going to bump up against the income limitations of Medicare Part B premiums, and potentially lose that additional $12,000 in tax deductions. So again, my overarching thought is that this is a very individualized decision because we need to look at your tax situation, your income needs, and also what's the makeup of your portfolio already. All those things need to be called into question when we're making that decision. But, I can't pass up an Erin is right moment.
Never. No, just put that on the bulletin board.
But please, let's go back to your text now.
We have a very hot take in the text, and our hot taker writes, Uncle Sam is now the bad guy for wanting us to finally pay our fair share of taxes. This great country does need tax money for infrastructure at the very least. I couldn't agree more with that sentiment. Unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to core the apple, the government takes in $4 trillion in tax receipts. Mm-hmm. Okay, this year alone, we're going to run a $2 trillion deficit. So I would argue that there's plenty of money to do all the things that the government should be doing. They've allocated it elsewhere. So they are the bad guy in not being able to live within a budget that is reasonable. I think $4 trillion is reasonable. And they are the bad guy for running up a debt that will be passed on to future generations and the interest that comes along with that.
I'm going to take a slightly different tack on this, which is I can appreciate the outrage of the individual citizen as to how tax dollars are spent. That runs the gamut of, not only political parties, but of, across the country. We all have different views on how taxes should be spent. My view comes from our profession, which is that, we feel it's our responsibility to give our clients the best guidance that we can. And in my opinion, being able to preserve our clients' wealth, not only while they're here, but when they're passing it on in the most tax efficient way, meaning they get to they get to keep more of their money, give less of it to the government, is our ultimate goal. It's pay what you owe, not necessarily more than that. And I think that when my dad rails against the conversion and bumping into higher brackets, that's exactly what the sentiment is, which is that why don't we try to do this in the most efficient possible way for you versus I guess we call it the most expedient way. You just want to get that money into a potentially a tax-free environment. I think that, in all things, taking a measured approach is probably the best decision.
And one last thing I'll just say about, the quote-unquote fair share. The top tax rate is above 35%. And if you had the indignity of living in a place like New York or California, you could probably tack on another 12 to 15% in state taxes, add in your property taxes, local taxes, and that's like a 50% of your income out the door. And, I don't think that that's taxation at that point. I think that's confiscation. And,
well, you riled him up, guys.
These people are not criminals. I mean, so so someone made, makes a huge amount of money. They did it legally. They're not breaking the law. I don't see any justification for separating someone from half their income just because it's fair. There's nothing fair about taking half your stuff. I don't think so. And that's all I'll say about that.
There wasn't more?
Well, there'd be a lot more, but, I could go on for an hour.
Dad, did you want to jump in here? I know this is a topic of choice for you as well.
Honey, I will tell you that I have had the same attitude since the day that I started working, which was if they're going to take more, I'm going to figure out how to make more. And that, that's kind of just the way that it is. I'll show them. I'll just make more. But look, the tax code is fair. Okay, and the bottom line is that this is the environment that we live in. All I would recommend to anyone is that, it has basically been. I mean, it's come out to be true, which is never plan on taxes going up. Never make plans. I mean, think about what happened before last November. Taxes are going up, et cetera. No, they're not.
Well, they didn't.
Taxes are federal income taxes are political football.
Sure.
They're going to stay in place as long as there's currently Republican control of the House and the Senate. Bottom line, will they go up in the future? Sure. Or will they go back down? Absolutely. Will the markets, have we seen the all-time high in the market? No one knows the answer to that question, but I would like to believe that we haven't. I think technology continues to improve. Productivity continues to improve. At least in this country, we're in a situation where we have a great economy, and therefore I don't think we've seen the all-time highs. That being the case, doing a conversion, if you're going to do a Roth conversion, today isn't a bad idea because the markets will be higher later. You rebuy whatever you've
converted.
Sold into your Roth. You can rebuy it, and guess what? Grow it back. It's all good.
Well,
our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you. 314-931-5877 or 84126 from text line. Honey, just so you know, I would not disinherit you.
Why, thank you.
Over the Roth issue, but at the same time, I don't like you enough to pay Uncle Sam taxes in advance so you can get this money tax free. There are lots of other ways that we've created, and we're happy to share with our listeners, of how to help you pay for the taxes as you're getting money out of our IRAs.
Well, we have another tax question on the text line, so why don't we get to that to keep the conversation going.
And our next texter writes, I am 61 and took money out of my retirement plan and was told I would be taxed around 5%, but my friend later told me that it would be around 22% because it is on the interest that I earned. Also, are the taxes due when you do your taxes or right when you take the money out? Thanks. Love the show.
So it is not based on the interest that you've earned, but when you extract money from retirement accounts, if it was a traditional IRA or a traditional 401k, 403b, you are paying taxes on the distribution at your tax rate because it's considered ordinary income. So what you would do is take all of the income you have already earned for the year, and earned could be if you are currently working, or all of your other income. If you're in retirement, you would take the correct amount of the proportion of your Social Security benefit plus any other income, add that together, and then add on the distribution from your retirement account. That will tell you what initial bracket you're in. Then obviously you'll take your deductions to determine what final bracket you end up in. The bracket that you end up in is what you would pay is the amount that you would pay, percentage that you would pay taxes on the amount that you withdrew. So for example, if you do that calculation and find that you are married, well, you didn't find you were married because of the calculation, but you are married, and you find that the calculation brings you to $90,000 or less of income, then you would pay 12% plus your state taxes if you live in Missouri. If you live in Illinois, you don't have state taxes there. So this question is a great example of why it always makes sense to consult with a professional, especially in this example, a tax professional, before you make a decision as to making distributions from retirement accounts, especially if you are currently working. So, and then the second question was, when do the taxes actually come out? If you have pulled money, if you're pulling money out of an IRA, so that's a self-directed account, you get to make the decision if you want taxes withheld or not. So you could pay them up front, or you could wait. You'll get a 1099 that will reflect you paid no taxes, and then you will owe when you file your taxes. You'll want to be careful, because if that distribution throws you into a situation where you haven't paid 80% of what you owe, you could have a penalty. If you make a distribution from a retirement account that is with an employer, 401k, 403b, in most cases they are automatically withholding 20% from you at the time of the distribution. But you'll get another 1099 that will reflect that that already happened. So then you won't owe on that distribution, as long as you pay 20% was the maximum that you were going to owe on that distribution.
Yeah, I mean, that was very well said, and I would just say that the rule of thumb here is, if the plan sponsor, whomever it would be, gives you an opportunity to withhold taxes from a distribution, you should take it. They're going to take that money out. They're going to send it to the Internal Revenue. Then you don't have to mess with it. Your 1099 will reflect that. You won't have to deal with the possibility of a tax penalty. Alternatively, if you're somebody that is currently doing quarterly filings, tax deposits, then what you would want to do is you would want to make that tax deposit in the quarter that you earned the income. Because if the IRS comes back and looks, they're going to go, okay, how much did he owe? How much did he pay? They're going to do a matching on your income. And again, you could be looking at a penalty. But as Erin said, consult a tax professional before you make these distributions, and then just as importantly, take advantage of withholdings that are available to you for tax purposes. It's like with your house. You know, if you have a house payment, escrow your taxes. Why mess with it? Why have to come up with a big amount of money at the end of the year? Do it as it happens. You'll be happier.
Yes, because, we don't have a mortgage on our house, and we got that. You're coming to the end. I was just talking about this with some clients yesterday. You're coming up on the end of the year. You're like, oh, this is a good year. Saved a little extra money. Got a little bit more for Christmas. Maybe we'll go on a vacation. I think maybe there's a bonus down the line. And then You open up the mail on a random Tuesday, you get hit with a huge tax bill you forgot about. There it is, property taxes peering in on you. So I think it makes sense. If you still have a mortgage, I think it makes perfect sense to escrow. I know sometimes people get frustrated with the escrow because the bank makes that decision, so it could be over or under. But I think it's a nice little piggy bank where you don't have to worry about it come the end of the year. But that's just my personal opinion on that after having lived it just mere days ago. You act like you weren't participating in it.
No, I was glad that we did escrow taxes on the house. That way we don't get hit with another tax bill.
Right. One of the houses we do owe. All right. We've got another tax question. This is tax day.
And our next texter writes, "Good morning, Jeff and Erin. I recently sold my parents' home 5 years after my father passed away. Originally, I had it for sale as a commercial property because there's a lawyer's office on each side. I finally sold it as a residential property for $500,000. I originally listed it in 2020 for $740,000 as a commercial property. How do I calculate the capital gains for this property? Thank you."
Well, that one's kind of easy.
All right, let's give them the answer.
Well, the answer is that if this is not your primary residence, then you're going to pay capital gains on the difference between the fair market value at the date of death of the property and the sales price. So whether it was commercially rented or a second home, a second property you own, it's not eligible for the $250,000 single or $500,000 married.
Well, so this one was a
exemption.
Property that they inherited he inherited from Dad, it sounds like.
Understand. So the same thing is that we know it steps up to the fair market value at the date of death.
So that could have potentially been $740,000.
Right.
Because that's what it was originally listed for.
Right. And so if there's any gain from the date of death, then what happens is that would be taxable as long-term capital gains because he's held it for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it was residential or commercial doesn't really matter.
So in this instance, if he listed it if we assume...
I don't think it matters,
okay.
But then the CPA would give a better answer.
So if we assume that the list price was $740,000...
right.
And that list price was reflective of the fair market value at the date of Dad's death, and then it was now sold for $500,000, you actually get to record a loss, not a gain.
Well, but then that loss would also be offset because now my thinking cap's going here.
Okay.
Because he used it as a commercial property.
For all the rental income?
Well, he would have picked up the rental income, but at the same time, he also was depreciating the property. And therefore, there would be depreciation recapture from a federal income tax point of view. So a little more complicated. Bottom line, though, is you did good on the step up. How you dealt with depreciation is going to help determine your gain.
Got you.
All right. And text line has just exploded this morning. Love to see it. And our next texter writes, "Great show. What is your idea on getting rid of the personal property tax and raising the national sales tax slightly? What would that math look like?" Well, I mean, I'll just tell you a quick story.
You got a quick story.
I just got my personal property tax from the state of Missouri for my 2010 Mazda 6. They have it valued at about $1,000, and they're asking me to pay about $97, which I'll gladly pay. Not a big deal, but the idea that you're paying taxes on things you already
bought.
Right. Do you really own anything if you're constantly having to pay? Or are you just renting them from the government at this point?
This has really turned into quite a show.
And as far as increasing the national sales tax slightly, I'm of the opinion that you can raise the taxes all you want. They'll find a way to spend more money than they take in because they always have. So I don't think it's not a taxation issue; it's a spending issue.
It's an interesting point. You know what? Do you mind? We've got another text question. Will you pull out the income-related Medicare adjustment brackets and this time we're going to go with individuals. So our texter writes, why aren't there more brackets for single people for income-related Medicare adjustments between $196,000 to $500,000 like there are for married couples? Doesn't seem fair for those making on the lower end of the range.
There's that word again, fair.
That's fair. That's a great point. Is that accurate that that bracket is so large?
It goes from the second to last bracket is $200,001 to $499.
So sounds like he's right about there. Might have been adjusted for the. He might be looking at last year's brackets.
You have one bracket there, and then anyone over $500,000 is another bracket.
That's a great point. And what about the married filing jointly? Do they have an extra bracket? Like, do they have an extra?
Yeah, they have a couple of, because there's, you're starting from next to the last on single, whereas married filing jointly, you're already at 212 to 266.
Yeah, unfortunately, we were not privy to the decision making on the brackets. We can only reflect what they are and hopefully how to manage them. But I agree with you. That doesn't seem fair. They should add those brackets back in. Or not add them back in. They should create those brackets for the single people, because we do see that. So for our individual clients, required minimum distributions can have a pretty big impact on the income-related Medicare adjustments because of the very thing that our texter is writing about, that differential there. One, they've got requirements to take. They're already receiving Social Security, in some cases pension, and then we pile on required minimum distributions. So that can be a reason that we pay a little extra in taxes.
And our next... go ahead, Jeff.
Let me just add something to that. One thing that is sometimes overlooked, even by folks that are grown-ups, those getting required minimum distributions, is if you are in a situation where you have earned income, that is wages, I don't know, from consulting work or part-time work, etc., you can still make a deductible IRA contribution for yourself and most likely for your spousal IRA contribution to reduce your adjusted gross income. So it may be that there's a possibility there for this single person. Well, I'm sorry, single.
You have to be working though, right? Or earned income.
Right. So they could put away, what is it, $7,500?
Yes. If you're over 50, yes. Which makes sense, because if you were going to be near the income-related Medicare adjustment there. So
you might want to talk to somebody about, are there some tax deductions that are available to you that you might not be taking advantage of? We do have some clients. I mean, we don't call them Walmart greeters, but
they do part-time work.
Right. Bass Pro Shop, whatever it would be, and it's called, hey, by the way, you could still make a deductible contribution because you're actively at work, and even though you're part-time and not eligible maybe for that company's 401k plan, you could still do an IRA contribution. So don't forget about that.
Great point, Dad.
Thank you.
And we have a comment from the Erin appreciation section. It says, way to go, Erin.
Way to go, Erin. I love how this starts.
You are correct. Each person's circumstances are unique. Saying no to all Roth conversions is the cookie-cutter approach. Making Roth conversions in a single year, which increases your Medicare payments, is well worth it if you'll be reducing your Medicare payments for the next 20 years.
So I didn't say that second part, but I do find it a little interesting because I would have to do the math to agree with me being correct. I would have to do the math to see, how much would you as an individual truly have to convert in order to avoid, and how much would that cost in order to avoid income-related Medicare adjustments down the road because of required minimum distributions. We only see that, like I said, in a few cases, and it generally tends to be for our single clients where we're running into that. But you would probably, as I've said, you probably have to make some substantial conversions of your traditional IRA to get enough out, especially if you are approaching 65 years old, and the income-related Medicare adjustment would be something on your horizon. be a pretty substantial conversion that you would have to make to liquidate those IRA accounts. So down the line, you wouldn't have an issue because the ultimate goal is that you're going to continue to grow all of your assets. So even though you've made the conversion, there's still something left in that traditional IRA, and I'm sure you're not going to want to put it into just a money market fund. You want it to grow you want to at least have the potential to grow over time, which means for many people, you're growing back what you converted. So you might end up in the same place, had paid higher taxes, and then you're just going to pay more taxes. But I think
honey, let's throw an example here. Let's say that you were. It's funny because on the internet I see this like every day.
Okay.
Should I have 1.6 million of should I convert this over a 10-year period?
Is that what it sounds like when you read it?
No, I'm throwing stuff at my computer. That's why I have 4 or 5 spares there.
Gotcha.
So you do a $100,000 conversion.
Okay.
You're in a 25, and that puts you in, and that puts you. Let's assume that marginally effective distribution is taxed at 25%, even though at state, let's say it's 30. So it's cost you $30,000.
Okay.
You have an IRMA bump up of approximately. You're doubling your premium, so it costs you an extra $200 a month for 12 months, another $2,400.
Okay.
So we're looking at basically $32,000.
Okay.
Now of taxes. Now, what's the break even? The 100,000 conversion generated a required minimum distribution of 4% of 4,000. So and even though it's going up very small incrementally, the break even is approximately 8 years.
But you only converted 100,000 on
that's right.
1.6 million, and that's a 1.6 million IRA account.
Oh, right. Then you're supposed to do it forever. It's called. You can never break even. It never makes sense to do it, but at the same time.
Well, someone already told me I was correct, so I don't know.
Honey, you're always correct.
I appreciate that, Dad. Thank you. On that note,
you're welcome, babe.
Why don't we take our first break of the second hour? When we get back, we still have more text questions to get to, and thank goodness they are still about taxes.
So don't touch that dial. We'll be back with more of your comments and texts right after these brief messages.
Royal Banks of Missouri is proudly reinvesting in its hometown of University City. Their new branch at 8550 Olive Boulevard is now open to serve you. Visit their team in University City to discover how they can help you refresh your finances and invest in your future today. Call 314-212-1500 or go to royalbanksofmo.com for more information. Royal Banks of Missouri, member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Hey, it's Jill Farmer for 20 Minutes to Fitness. What if I told you could build real strength and bone density with just one 20-minute workout a week? At 20 Minutes to Fitness, that's exactly what happens. Using scientifically proven strength-building methods, you work one-on-one with a personal trainer who sets the equipment, watches your form, and safely takes each major muscle group to deep fatigue in just 2 to 3 minutes per machine. Then, during the rest of your week, your muscles rebuild. It's ideal if you're out of shape, recovering from injury, or worried you're just too old to start. They're staffed by health pros, managed by a physical therapist, and clients range from 18 to 101. And if you're on a GLP-1 medication, this is one of the best ways to rebuild the muscle those meds can cost you. No memberships, no crowds, just appointments, personalized training, and results. They even offer movement and mobility sessions to help with balance, mechanics, and those everyday aches and pains. If it sounds too good to be true, try it for yourself. Your first session is free. Now celebrating 24 years in Chesterfield and Clayton. 20 Minutes to Fitness. Try it yourself to see why I love it so much.
Everybody loves good barbecue, and everybody wants to know where the next great barbecue place is. And if you're looking for an overnight sensation, it's only taken them 10 years. 3 Bay Barbecue and Bakery, Woods Mill and Clayton Road. There is a gas station, West County Phillips 66 gas station. In that gas station, in the back, for 10 years, some of the best barbecue in town. Bring a friend and spread the word. 3 Bay Barbecue and Bakery. Don't forget about the bakery. 3BayBarbecueandBakery.com.
There is a reason we are called the Big 550. Reason number 1, the voices you know.
Hi, everybody. McGraw Millhaven here.
Hi, this is Frank Cusimano.
Hey, it's Jill Farmer.
Reason 2, the voices you trust.
I'm Jack Carney. Thank you for listening.
It's Julie Buck here.
Reason 3, the voices you've learned to love and the personalities you grew up with.
Hey, it's Heidi.
Hey, everybody. It's Josh.
Hi, everybody. It's Bob Ramsey.
And not to mention, but we will, locally owned and nationally and worldwide known. We are St. Louis's hometown station, the Big 550 KTRS, the talk of St. Louis.
This is Erin Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email at erin@jblfinancial.com to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
How's your deck holding up? Time for a new one? Time to redo the one you're sitting on? It's time to call Outdoor Living. Outdoor Living last summer helped me with my deck, and I cannot tell you how thrilled I am. Outdoor Living Inc. not only showed me all the different options, whether it's PVC, composite, vinyl wrapped, wood, but Outdoor Living has the largest showroom in St. Louis, 2,000 square feet of decking, so I figured out exactly what I wanted from the largest showroom in town. 314-966-DECK or OutdoorLivingInc.com.
Now, back to Straight Talk on Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are Jeff and Erin Lapidus.
1034 on the Big 550 KTRS Talk Radio St. Louis. Babe, I just got a text.
No, you didn't. This is...
Yes, I did. I just got a text.
Okay.
You'll love this. It's one of our clients. She goes, and they said, Jeff, we know that Erin loves you. That's true. She does. My daughter loves me. She said, if Erin wants you to convert your IRA, you should do it. But at the same time, out of love, you should ask her to pay the taxes for you. So, honey, I have a deal. I have a deal for you.
Okay.
I'm gonna do a conversion.
Okay.
Okay. Of, I don't know. Let's just say it's $100,000.
Okay.
Okay. And that means I'm going to owe an additional $40,000. I'm going to owe $40,000 in taxes on the conversion. I will do it if you will pay the taxes.
Well, here I have a follow-up question.
And I promise, I will make you the sole beneficiary.
How did you know that was going to be the caveat on this conversation?
No, babe, there's no question about it. I'm going to make you the sole beneficiary, but at the same time, I will tell you that I'm also going to give your sister the same offer.
So you're going to convert.
So you might want to negotiate it. You might want to negotiate with her.
Hold on a second. So you're going to convert $100,000, and I'm going to pay the $40,000 of taxes for you.
Yes. I'm doing it for you.
For me.
For you.
I think that I will wait to pay the taxes after you and Mom are gone.
What a selfish child.
I'm going to pay the... What do you mean? I'll just pay the tax later. It'll be fine.
Okay.
Thank you for this. Is this a standing offer? Like, can I come back later if I have some extra cash and I decide I really want?
If you're willing to pay the taxes, if Rob's willing to pay the taxes, if Jody's willing, I'll be happy to do the conversion.
Oh, wait. Actually, I have the perfect solution here. I am actually going to reduce your income to $1 next year, and then I will pay the taxes on this conversion because that's going to drop your tax bracket pretty considerably.
Never pay taxes on money you're not consuming.
Oh, my God.
It's great to have a son-in-law. What can I tell you?
You just don't do it.
Oh, my.
You just don't do it.
We're already in the will. Relax.
Yeah, I just don't.
Okay, let's get back to our texters where things make sense.
Okay.
All right.
And our next texter writes, I'm doing a side job for a company that takes about 5 hours a month. This year, it comes out to about $3,000. My employer said he will send me a 1099 for the year. Do I have to pay taxes on that amount, or can I contribute to a Roth with that?
The answer to that question is yes. On both counts. Yes, you will pay taxes at your tax rate. And then secondly, because it's earned income, you do have the ability to contribute to a Roth that would not reduce your tax liability up to $3,000 because you can only contribute either the maximum of $7,500 if you're over the age of 50, or what you have as earned income. In this example, if $3,000 was all that you had in earned income for the year, then $3,000 would be the most that you could put into the Roth. But if you decided to put that into a traditional IRA, you would be able to take a deduction on your overall income for what you contributed into that traditional IRA.
Enough said.
And our next texter writes, I agree with you, Erin. It's easy. It's being financially responsible.
Everybody's agreeing with me today.
It's being
great.
smart. We escrow every month enough money to cover real estate, taxes, or homeowners insurance, or any other financial costs related to the house.
That's a really good idea. That's like going above and beyond. Not only are you escrowing your taxes, but you're escrowing potential other costs, so that way when something goes awry, you don't feel like you ate into another part of your budget, or that's a great idea. I might have to implement that. I like that. And our next texter, does it make sense if you're a single person or if your spouse has passed away, making you a single person? Do your taxes go up and then when you file? So the year that your spouse passes away, you are still able to file jointly. So that would keep you in the married filing jointly brackets. But if you are a single person or you have reached the year after your spouse has passed and you are now a single filer, your taxes only go up in the sense that you are now in the individual brackets versus the married filing jointly brackets, if that's how you were previously filing. So you probably want to work with a tax professional to see what the impact of that is going to be for you. See if you have any options in terms of, but you still have access to deductions. Obviously, those are cut in half because you'll have the individual filing deductions versus the married filing jointly deductions. So the brackets aren't higher. It's just that the tax rates aren't higher. It's just that the brackets change, so that could put you into a higher tax bracket.
Well said, babe.
Well, thank you.
And our next texter writes, I added my wife to my company to double up the simple IRA contributions and maintained my own traditional IRA. And with those write-offs, we were able to do a Roth for my wife and stay in the lowest tax bracket as Erin recommends. That Roth is now well over $300,000, so it can be done without large tax bills, and the Erin Lapidus Appreciation Fan Club grows.
This is just one of the greatest days. Almost better than my birthday, guys. I really appreciate it. But see, I think this is clever because, Dad, I think this is a person, and we obviously know it's a gentleman here, after your own heart, because you are often working with business owners in ways to be able to add more to simple IRAs or to be able to create spousal IRAs. The simple IRAs are great because that doubled the contributions practically, even a little bit more than that. That you could make pre-tax, opening up the opportunity for you to do some Roth conversions. So we always appreciate a clever use of the tax code.
I agree. And, it's not unusual to have, in a family-owned business, to have a spouse who may not be full-time actively working in the business, part-time working in the business, whether it's a consultant, whether it's a bookkeeper, etc., and having them involved in a meaningful way, especially with Uncle Sam, is not a bad deal. And the nice part is that spouse's earnings, whether it's full-time, part-time, whatever it might be, also helps enhance their Social Security benefits.
That's a great point, which is having that earnings history available for the spouse, even if it could just, even if your spouse ends up using the spousal benefit with Social Security, it's great to have some earnings because then you have options potentially. Did they, over the course of their career before you put them on the payroll, was their earnings history enough to maintain their own Social Security benefit, or would you use the spousal in the alternative? I think it's always nice to have options.
Well, sure, and they could have also been involved if they were a teacher, etc. Now that the windfall tax has been repealed, that could be a real boon. So,
yes, that was a great That was a great decision. That's a great text, and that was, I think, a great final. I think it was one of the final things the Biden administration did before leaving office was repeal that windfall exclusion. And we've worked with several teachers over the years, several other government employees that were subject to the windfall, and it's fabulous to see that they are receiving the money that they've earned.
Yep.
And our next texter writes, so many people don't need their RMD distributions, says who?
Well, that's an interesting comment.
Therefore, they put that money into taxable accounts, which then results paying taxes on those capital gains, interest, dividends. Those taxes can get quite large as time goes on. You never seem to address this. Not true. We've talked many times.
Not true.
It isn't. Well, we've talked many times about if you don't need your RMD distributions and you qualify for life insurance, that could be a great way to pay the potential taxes on leaving those monies to descendants. So we've touched on this several times.
I think you're missing this is a
Right.
different piece of taxes, which is,
It's welcome to America.
Well, let's just take a slightly different approach here, which is I do think that we touch on a conversation about where do you hold specific types of assets. If you are someone like our texter who does not need the required minimum distribution, or you don't need all of your required minimum distribution, so you taking that money out of your IRA account, you're paying the taxes that you owe, and then you are investing it elsewhere. Because you cannot take required minimum distributions and put it into a Roth, you're not allowed to, the IRS closed that loophole for you. It has to go into an after-tax account, which I like to call tax preferred, because when you invest that money, you will pay capital gains dividends. You will pay taxes on capital gains if you sell the security for a profit. You would pay dividends or interest if they are accumulated, but we often discuss in other contexts, what are you actually buying in those after-tax accounts? If you don't need the required minimum distribution money, I would not suggest purchasing something that creates dividends and interest. Why don't we look at something that's growth-oriented, that's more capital appreciation focused, and where you are growing the asset, you're attempting to grow asset value versus creating more taxes for yourself, or looking to use different types of securities that do not necessarily generate capital gains dividends or interest for you. So in other contexts, we do discuss that it does make sense to purchase different types of securities that are not going to create ongoing taxes for you. But the only way that you get capital gains in an after-tax account is if you sell the security, and that would assume that you needed the money. So in my mind, why not take the required minimum distribution instead of selling the security, and then you just consume it that year instead of investing more? So I think this text is a great example of when you're working with a professional, they can help drill down as to, you're taking the required minimum distribution, what do we do with it? What do we buy with it? What are our long-term plans? Because you don't necessarily have to do the same thing with your required minimum distribution every single year. So how about this? We have like 15 more text questions on deck, but we only have about 14 minutes left in the show, so why don't we take our second break of the hour, and when we get back, we will try to get to as many of these tax questions as we can.
So don't touch that dial. We'll be back with more Straight Talk on Retirement right after these brief messages.
This is Jeff Lapidus, the Retirement Coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, that you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email, jeff@jblfinancial.com, to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Galmish & Sons have been providing quality heating and cooling services since 1950. They work exclusively with Lennox, the preferred choice of St. Louis homeowners. Call Galmish & Sons for your next Lennox HVAC installation and service. 314-993-1110.
Okay, so the tree is up, but it's tilting towards the side door. All right, look, you got to get it straight. Go to Schnarr's Hardware, Clayton Road in Ladue or in Webster on Lockwood. Schnarr's Hardware has 2 locations, and they have everything everything for the holidays, whether it's extra extension cords, maybe a couple of extra lights, last-minute gift. Oh, Aunt Sally's coming. She's bringing you a gift. I got to get something. Schnarr's Hardware will help you out. You need to put the lawn to bed? Yeah, Schnarr's Hardware has all sorts of winterized fertilizers to help you get through these winter months. You see, at Schnarr's Hardware, it's more than just a friendly neighborhood hardware store. It's a part of Americana, and it has brought St. Louisans together for years. So when you walk into Schnarr's Hardware, you'll notice the customer service is great, the smell is great, the popcorn is free. Schnarr's Hardware. Happy holidays from Schnarr's Hardware. Make sure your holiday is complete with a trip to Schnarr's Hardware. Schnarr's Hardware, Merry Christmas.
Now, back to Straight Talk on Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are Jeff and Erin Lapidus.
Well, we're back for the last 10 minutes of our show. Our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you. 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line. And before we take our next text, I was just going to mention that this is a great show. And, you know, well, it is. I mean, we love answering these questions. And the truth is that we're doing this every day.
Yes.
So keep them coming, folks. We love that.
On that note, before we get back to the text questions, we had a nice text comment. Bet there are some lively conversations around your family dinners. And I would say not only is that the case, but we spent part of Thanksgiving playing Monopoly this year, family Monopoly. I think we had some lively discussions around that table as well.
Yeah, Jeff didn't want to make deals with me.
That's right. Dad takes Monopoly very seriously. He does not let anyone win. In fact, I mean, Mom doesn't really let anyone win anything either. So you've joined a competitive family, my friend.
In the immortal words of Captain James C. Kirk in Wrath of Khan, I don't like to lose.
Well, I was trying to crib a line from, what was it, Superman 2? Promises were made, gifts exchanged, but
no.
It could be. It just wasn't the way it was going down.
There are no gifts when the Lapidus family plays games. It's a very serious business.
Yeah, it was pretty intense. I can't wait to see what next year's. Maybe we break out the risk board.
Well, yeah, but Dad's especially good at Monopoly because of the financial aspect of things. But let's get back to those texts.
And our next texter writes, this is a great question. Later on in retirement life, which bucket should you pull money from first? Roth bucket or traditional investment account bucket?
This is a great question, and Dad, I know you'll jump in here too. We often find that when we're creating ongoing income, so if we're thinking about replacing a monthly income, we generally turn to our traditional IRA assets first because we see that clients want to preserve their Roth accounts, but we also would like to preserve their Roth accounts because they can become the great tax equalizer, meaning we can create consistent taxes throughout retirement by using traditional IRA assets for ongoing income and Roth assets for those larger capital expenditures, buying the new car, going on the large trip, maybe doing some remodeling to the house. So when we need a large amount of capital in one particular year, we often look to the Roth. When we are creating ongoing income, we generally turn to the traditional IRA. And for the majority of people that we are seeing right now and have been working with over the past several decades, they have an imbalance between traditional and Roth assets, meaning their traditional assets are much larger than those Roth assets. So relying on those for the ongoing income tends to make the most sense.
Yeah, the only thing I would add here is that assets that you've already paid taxes on that you're accumulating inside of your either TOD or trust account, they're gold,
Roth,
and they do not. Yeah, and they really do provide liquidity for a whole variety of things, not only just emergencies and planned purchases, but it is unusual for a client of ours to say, "Hey, I want to buy a boat," or I want to make a deposit down on a second home. And so having those after-tax assets available to us for those purposes really make a lot of sense. So those assets we tend to, again, look at secondarily more for capital consumption purposes versus for income purposes.
You know what BOAT stands for?
Bust out another 1,000.
I love that. And our next texter writes, is there a specific percentage that you have to withdraw from your traditional IRA when you start taking your required minimum distributions? And what does this percentage change to in the following years?
Yes. So when you turn 73, which is now the first year of required minimum distributions on your personal account, the percentage is just below 4%. The amount you have to take is based on the December 31st account value. So the custodian or the bank that's holding the assets is going to apply the just under 4% percentage to the account value on December 31st. That is how they calculate what you will owe for the upcoming year. So in just a few days, on December 31st of this year, if you are 73 or turning 73 next year, the custodian is going to apply that percentage to the account value on December 31st. And for 2026, that is going to be what you'll need to take by December 31st of 2026, or before April of 2027 if it's your first year turning 73. That percentage gradually increases over time. As you get older, every year it's going to go up slightly. I believe when you get to about 90, it's close to 10%. So it's a gradual rise over time. The custodian is going to calculate that for you annually. It's important that you keep an eye on that number because that's the number that they report to the federal government as what you owe. So just like if you received a 1099 or you received W-2s, you receive one, the federal government, or the IRS rather, also receives one. That's how they match it up when you file your return and say, either you got it right or you owe us more money.
My dad is 89, and his RMD is just under 10%.
There we go.
Actually, it's actually just under 8%.
Just under 8%. All right.
Yeah, I've got the table here in front of me just to be specific. At 75, it's 4.07%. At 80, it's 4.95%. At 90, it's 8.2%. At 100, you get to go free. No, I'm just kidding. It's 15.63%.
Wow. So from 90 to 100, it goes up 5%.
Yeah, they want to, obviously, life expectancy.
Goes up 8%.
Yeah, it doubles. So they want to
accelerate.
So they want you to empty these, but it's a very small creep up the hill until really you get to age 80, and then it accelerates a little bit greater rate.
Got you.
Basically a 0.5% per year.
And the tax questions keep rolling in.
Absolutely. And our next texter writes, I just found out I will be inheriting about $150,000 by the end of the year. What taxes will I have to pay? I am married. Also, what is a K-1 form?
So I guess I'll start off with the easy question, which is the K-1 form is a tax form that you receive generally for entities that are considered pass-through, like LLCs or S-corps. So because they're pass-through, the entity doesn't pay the taxes. The beneficiaries or the owners of the entity pay the taxes. That is how it's reflected, just like a 1099 or just like other tax forms that are letting you know what you've earned and then what taxes you will owe. The K-1 is a pass-through's way of letting you know what you have earned, and then you'll use that to incorporate into your taxes to determine what you owe.
Yeah, and K-1 usually happens through real estate investments.
Got you.
I was going to say, in terms of what do you owe, if you received something, if you inherited something that was not an IRA, it will be tax-free. So you don't have to worry about it. If it's an IRA, if it's a traditional IRA, you won't have any taxes this year if the person that you inherited from died this year. You have to make the first required minimum distribution associated with that IRA in 2026.
Is there any situation where you would receive a K-1 from an inheritance?
No, again, the K-1
so those are two separate, obviously two separate.
It's linked to the property.
Got you.
Yeah, I mean, on inheritance, you truthfully don't get anything.
Right. Well,
I mean, there's no tax reporting that actually occurs.
Got you. All right.
And I think our last text of the day. I am 70, work full-time, make $70,000 annually, just taking my full Social Security benefit of $4,300 a month, and I also teach part-time, and that is $40,000 annually. What percentage of tax will I pay in 2025? Thank you.
So you got 70,000 plus 40,000 plus
about 50.
So 160,000.
So you'll be in an effective tax bracket of approximately 15%.
Right, but you got to take your deductions too, so you might be able to bump it down into that 12% bracket.
Exactly.
So there you go. All right. Well, what a great show. We didn't realize that it was going to turn into the, 2025 tax show, but excellent questions. We truly appreciate it from everyone. We can't wait to chat with you all again next week. So keep those text questions coming or give us a call at our office, 314-863-0008.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and JBL Financial Services, Inc. are separate entities from LPL Financial.
Be listening next week at 9 for more straight talk on retirement with your retirement coaches, Jeff and Erin Lapidus, on the Big 550 KTRS.